Hey guys, Colton Limberg here with eXp Realty. Today we'll be doing a market analysis and a market update for the cities of San Pedro, Lomita, and Torrance. We're going to be looking at single families only, and we're going to be looking at the averages. So there will be some outliers over on these data points, but on average, this is what you can expect. First, we'll start off with pending sales. We have 5 pending sales in San Pedro, 1 pending sale in Lomita, and 27 in Torrance. So Torrance is a bigger area overall. Therefore, we're seeing a little bit more pending sales, but that's just good to know. Those houses, whether you're thinking about buying, are going to affect the market. If you're thinking about selling, houses are going to set new bars and even potentially new lows. As we're seeing and as we're going to see in the data, it's looking like it's starting to set new highs. Now, our next data point will be the amount of active listings. How many listings are currently on the market? We have 47 single-family home listings in San Pedro. We have 8 in Lomita and 72 in Torrance. This is starting to trend up from last month. And this is kind of just what we see. December is usually the slowest month for real estate year over year. So this is actually a good sign. Now, if you're thinking about buying, you have these current listings to go look at. If you're thinking about selling, now these current listings are your competition, right? So you want to make sure that if you are trying to get a certain price point, let's say, a million, right? You want to look at all the houses that are listed for $1 million or slightly below or slightly above and see what your house stacks up and how it stacks up. And that really kind of comes down to us as realtors to put a solid price in your home that's going to get it to sell and going to be able to get it to sell for top dollar, because that is the ultimate goal, right? How can we get more people into the house? How can we get more offers on one property and get that multiple offer situation? Now, the next data point is the amount of closed sales. So these sales are actually going to affect for my sellers what your home can actually appraise for and actually sell for. So as we can see, there has been 10 closed sales this month in San Pedro, 2 in Lomita, and 30 in Torrance. Torrance is usually going to have a little bit more volume just because it's so much bigger. Now, we get into the interesting thing. How many new listings are there? Brand new this month, we have 23 in San Pedro, which is great. We have 5 in Lomita and 55 in Torrance. You're always going to have about 102 new listings the month of May. So if you're thinking about listing in May, you can see it's usually pretty high. Usually pretty high in May. So that just means a lot more competition for you sellers out there, but a lot more homes for buyers who are looking. So it all kind of balances each other out. But these are just good numbers to know for your market. So now one of my favorite numbers is what's called months of supply. What this number basically means is if no new homes were to come on the market, how soon in terms of months would it take for all those homes that are on the market to be gone? Ideally, we want to see anywhere from 3 to 6 months of supply to kind of indicate that we're in a balanced market or even a shifting market. We are right now just at about 2 months in San Pedro, about a month and a half in Lomita, and a month and a half in Torrance. So what this is telling me is that there is not a whole lot of supply out there. There really hasn't been a whole lot of supply. I don't think we've ever really seen a fully balanced market. I think the highest I've ever seen was about 4 months of supply. Yeah, 3.8 in San Pedro, 3.7. We had 3.8 in Lomita at one point in 2022. So we're always kind of in a inventory shortage here in the South Bay, and especially in Torrance, San Pedro, and Lomita. So it's going to be hard if you're trying to think about timing the market, trying to figure out when the best time to buy would be. Really, this would be your best indicator. As we can see over the past 5 years, we've never really reached that balancing point. So properties are always really highly sought after in these neighborhoods. Okay, now we're going to be looking at percentage of original list price. And what this number means is if I list it for $1 million and it's correctly priced, how much of that $1 million am I going to be getting at the end of the day? Right now we're seeing 99% across the board with some fluctuation. So you're basically getting the list price. If your house is priced correctly to the market and its actual value, you should be getting your whole list price. Now there might be some concessions made. Let's say 15 grand for a roof, but 15 grand out of 900,000 really isn't all that much, right, to concede. So that's why you're seeing 99.9%. And we might have some outliers that kind of fluctuate these numbers, but 99% overall is great news for the market. What this means for sellers is that there is still a good high demand for your property. For buyers, that means that if you're looking at a property that's out of your budget, it's going to be a little bit of a challenge to get them to come down to where you might be comfortable. So you might want to lower your expectations and might want to lower what you're looking for to match your budget and your comfortability point. Now we're going to look at days on market. How long are these properties sticking around? And we see that it's 36 in San Pedro, 25 in Lomita, and 40 in Torrance. Now, the reason for these numbers, again, is just going to come down to the amount of supply they have. Torrance has a lot more properties and a lot of variation between the neighborhoods of properties, right? You have like South Torrance, you have North Torrance, West Torrance, you have all these different areas of Torrance that kind of fetch a different price point. And even if you're looking into Torrance neighborhoods, the days on market will be a little bit different per neighborhood. San Pedro as a whole, there's like 5 or 6 different spots in San Pedro, but still kind of averages out. Lomita really kind of feels like maybe 2 or 3, 4 maybe different spots in Lomita. But either way, these days on market are pretty normal. They're, Torrance is up 17%, San Pedro is down 16%, and Lomita's down 32%. So days on market really just kind of the average, right? I've seen some properties. There's a property in Torrance that's been sitting on for like 400 something days. Those kind of throw these numbers a little bit out of whack, but on average, we can say that, it's about 30 days across the board, all in the South Bay. All right, now we're going to look at sales price. We're going to look at the average sales price. So average sales price for a single family home in San Pedro is just over $1 million. We're at $1,035,000. In Lomita, we're looking at about $890,000. In Torrance, we're almost getting towards that 1.2 mark. So we've seen properties values go up over these 5 years. If you bought back in 2021 with those low interest rates, you're looking at the average price point being just under $950,000. Now we're looking at 1.1. So if you're sitting on a property and you're thinking about selling, look at your total investment cost over the next 5 years. Have me come out. I'll give you a price on what you think we could sell it for, and you can see how much you're actually going to pocket at the end of the day, and you can make your decision best from there. But prices are starting to bounce back up. We can see here in San Pedro, there was a low in December, which is kind of expected, of $946. Then probably a couple million plus properties sold, pushing that average back up for January. So we are starting to bounce back in San Pedro. I'm gonna be expecting to see the same thing in Torrance and Lomita as more and more buyers start coming back to the market after the holidays, ramping up towards those peak summer months. So if you are a buyer, right now would be a good time to start seriously looking, because prices are going to start coming up. If interest rates go down more, prices are going to go up more. It's kind of a cause and effect thing. Those numbers act inversely. So if you have low interest rates, prices usually go up. If you have high interest rates, prices usually go down. Homes usually sit for a little bit longer. So that's something to think about. With interest rates kind of reaching this, almost 6, almost 5.5 kind of balancing point, we're seeing a very even common trend over across between home prices and interest rates. There's not crazy home prices yet, and there's not crazy high interest rates or even crazy low interest rates yet. So now would be a good time to start seriously looking. If you're thinking about selling, what I would suggest to you is look at the competition in your neighborhood. So reach out to myself and my team, and we will help you with that. All right, guys, I'm Colton Limerick with eXp Realty. Hope you have a good rest of your day. Bye-bye.